One of the scary things about being a parent this century is how many technologies are out there that we don't fully understand, but also represent a threat to our family. One of the great things about being a parent in this century is that there are some really neat safety tools available to us. Life 360 is one of those, and I had a chance to speak with a member of their executive team about what it is, why it's useful, how we can use it, and some of the things we could do if we don't want to buy that product, but still want to get some benefits that they find important. Check it out. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, hop over onto the Patreon if you feel like supporting us monetarily. We'd love to have you on board the team. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Now let's get to work. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Safest Family on the Block, where knowledge is power. I'm your host, Jason, and with me today is Ariana Hellebuyck of Life 360. Hello, Ariana.
Hello, hi everyone, and hi to you. I'm so glad to be here.
We're really thrilled to have you on today. Ariana she runs marketing for Life 360, which is a safety app, which I had not actually heard of before I started the program, but have become very impressed with over the last couple of months. And she was kind enough to come on today to tell us all about what it is and why it happened. And I think that's a great place to start. How did Life 360 happen? What's the story behind its creation?
Yeah, great question. I love telling our founding story. So our CEO and founder, Chris Halls, started Life 360 in 2008 after Hurricane Katrina. He was watching what was happening with Hurricane Katrina, and he thought, there has to be a better way to be able to know if a loved one is safe during a time of need and a time of emergency. Now, this is 2008, just to give you context. The iPhone came out like in 2007. So the idea of using phones and that everyone had phones and everyone in the family had phones was fairly new. So the idea of location sharing wasn't really a thing yet. So he's watching this happen with Hurricane Katrina. He thinks there's got to be a better way. So he comes up with this idea around location sharing. He submits this idea. He starts working on the idea, enters the Google Android Developer Contest. It wins $300,000 to go after this idea. And he takes off and he really starts Life 360. And, here we are a decade and more later, offering families around the world safety products and features.
Wow, that dovetails very, very neatly into one of the things that I've noticed with some other interviews with especially operators, Navy SEALs and folks like that, is in an emergency, the internet infrastructure is more stable and more reliable and harder to overload than the phone infrastructure. So you're actually more likely to get a hold of your family via internet channels like apps, like social media, than trying to call them on the phone. So it seems like this is a perfect idea to capitalize on that.
Yeah, and Chris had the perfect background to come up with this idea. He had an Air Force background. He also attended at UC Berkeley. So he understood the challenges and understood that he could really make a difference.
One of the things I really appreciate about Life 360 is it takes a broad view of safety. A lot of the people operating in this sphere, they're a Navy SEAL or a retired police officer who's focused really hard on self-defense, or they're a driving instructor who wants to increase traffic safety. But Life 360 really spans a broader spectrum of safety considerations. So did it start with that vision in mind, or did it begin with a narrower focus and kind of then broaden as your scope expanded?
Yeah, so if you think about our name, Life 360, right there, I'll tell you, it was always part of the vision of Chris's vision very, very early on. The other thing that was incredibly important and at the center of the vision was family. So you talked about a little bit about the different focuses that people have, but one of the things that we've noticed too is where's the focus on family safety. And so Life 360 is about that 360 component of safety, particularly targeted and specifically made for families and the different family needs people have. And what it does, it really recognize that families aren't stationary. They're not at home, and that they can only protect the walls, that families are on the go, they're on the road, they're online. And so if you follow and think about how a family behaves and create safety features around them, what you get is Life 360. You get you get a really broad set of features that help families, think about safety in all aspects of their life.
And I know you can find some excellent tutorials for using Life 360 up online, but since we've got our viewers already, could you give us just a quick summary of what does this app do specifically?
Yeah, okay, where do I start? So the number one thing that we're known for and that families use us on a daily basis is a location safety, is really knowing where your family is at. So what you do is you download Life 360. It allows you to set up a circle. So you set up the people that you want to know or closest to you that you want to know safe, where your location is. So it's pretty a tight circle. The average circle of ours is around 3 people. So you set that up, you invite people to join your circle. Again, using it pretty tight because it gives a lot of information. And then you're able to use it to understand location safety, to understand where someone is, how to get to them in an emergency. But we also offer driving and digital safety solutions as well. So I can go into more of the driving features, and then the digital safety is really about protecting your identity online.
So this location safety, for example, I could check if I got a text that seemed a little off from my teenager to find out where they are and go help them if I needed to. Or if they told me they were at one friend's house, but they were in fact over there, I could maybe do a little check-in subtly so I don't break that relationship by accusing them of a lie until I'm quite certain that they're not telling the truth.
Yep, absolutely. There's a couple ways you could use it, but a lot of families typically use location safety first, actually as a coordination tool. Just being able to understand, okay, somebody got to the grocery store, I need them to pick up X, Y, and Z. Don't forget to pick up the milk. Another coordination example is like after school activities. The soccer fields. I mean, how many parents are like, okay, what field are they at? There's plenty of fields and you want to make sure you're parking at the right one. So from a coordination aspect, the location safety features is commonly used. But to your point, it also allows people to check in. I got to where I am or I want to go and I got there safely. And so there's a check-in button within Life 360. So you simply hit the check-in button and the other person on the other side, the parent, for example, will get a notification and say, hey, Sarah just checked in and she's fine and she's safe.
And I don't want to undersell the importance of coordination for safety, because one of the through lines I've found through the interviews in this show is how vitally important situational awareness is for safety. And if you're managing infrastructure in the back of your head, those are mental cycles you could be spending to pay attention and keep your family safer. So having that just sorted out is a safety concern, not just a convenience concern.
Yeah, absolutely. So the key thing about location safety is being able to get to someone as quickly as possible in a time of need. And usually when someone is in need, seconds count. And so that's really what in Life 360 enables, is you're able to open up the app, immediately understand where somebody is and get to them. We also provide services that will send emergency responders directly to that location fairly quickly. We actually have a great story. We have members who email us and call us all the time telling us about how Life 360 has really helped them. And so if I could share a story with you, we have one that really stands out to me around location safety is that of Karen Cutshell. She's out of Greenville, Tennessee, and she was running her daily errands. She's a mom of 3. And when she finished one of her errands, a man had stashed himself in her car, and demanded that she drive to state lines at gunpoint. So she obviously was, held up by gunpoint. She complied and started driving. But half an hour, 45 minutes had gone by, and her husband is like, she should have been back from the store by now. So he checks her Life 360 location and realizes she's driving the opposite direction. So he gives her a call. And when he calls her, she's speaking in code. So he's like, something is off, and he's watching her location. He's watching her movement continue to drive, towards Georgia. So he was able to call emergency responders and say, something is off. My wife needs help. This story ends really well. Emergency responders were able to get to her immediately. They were able to locate her using Life 360. The man was apprehended. She came home safe, but they wrote us in and said, wow, if it hadn't been for Life 360, this really would have been a much more scarier situation. So again, that's about location, knowing where someone is and being able to get to them as quickly as possible.
Well, that's an amazing story, and I can see how that works really well. Just as an aside for our viewers, if somebody, carjacks you while you're driving, while you're in the car, there is a specific, all the experts I've spoken to agree that what you do is you wreck the car about 20 or 35 miles an hour, somewhere where people still are, because it'll disable the bad guy, and nothing gets eyes on a thing and people running towards it like a car crash. It's an unmistakable sound and everybody goes, huh?
Right.
So apparently that's what you do if you find yourself in that situation. Put your seatbelt on and
perfect. Yeah, I think that's a really good tip, and just prepared for it. Brace yourself, I guess. So that's,
and Life 360 would bring medical services fast to the site too.
It does. So the other thing that we offer, talking about crashes, we offer crash detection. So your phones have sensors in them, and that's how the sensors are able to track movement. That's how they're able to know if you're walking, or a lot of your health apps are using this. And so we're able to use the sensors in your phone to detect a collision. So when there is a car accident, we're able to see that that's happened, and we're able to notify everyone in your circle and send emergency responders to your location right away. So in the situation you described, where you should, get into a wreck, Life 360 is actually going to be able to detect that, and they're going to be able to notify everyone.
On that location detection, how accurate is it? Are we within a room? Are we within a building? Are we within a city block?
So it allows you to set so there's a couple ways that the location works. When you set up a place, you can actually set up a diameter. So it allows you to look at 250 feet or up to 500 feet, I believe, is now what we offer. So you can kind of set a circle around location. But it really depends on your location. In order for us to get incredibly accurate, there's a lot of components that are at play. But what it does is it pings different cell phone towers. And so depending on where you are, whether you're in a rural area or in a city area, that's going to matter in terms of location accuracy, as well as Wi-Fi. The most accurate way for us to get your location is when you're connected to Wi-Fi.
So with Wi-Fi, could I even make sure that my kid's in class, or just that I know he's in the high school?
Yeah, if you know where their class is within the high school, it should be able to pinpoint that.
Wow, that's impressive. And when we were talking about driving safety and crash detection, that reminds me of the old what was that service that was there in the late
OnStar.
90s, early 2000s? OnStar. The cell phones just kind of turned into dirigibles, right? A cool idea, but it got outstripped by a new technology before it really took off. So it does that. What other driving safety functionality does Life 360 have?
Yeah, so we have a suite of driving services. The one that we provide that I use actually a lot is roadside assistance. I've used I have a 2000 to Prius, and so sometimes I need roadside assistance. So I've used roadside assistance a lot, and that's one that we offer with our subscription service. But we also offer weekly driving reports, and what that does is it actually provides reports on driving behavior. So we can see how fast someone's going. We can see whether or not they're doing unsafe driving, meaning they're texting and driving, or they're hard braking. So you're able to see that on a drive. Our driving features are really for the entire family, but most parents turn to us when they have a new driver in the household. Data from the CDC says that kids age 16 and to 18 are 3 times as likely to get in a car accident than adults 20 and above. So it's no wonder that parents are incredibly nervous when they're handing over the keys to the car to their kids. And so what Life360, many of them turn to Life360 to help them understand, are they driving too fast? Are they texting and driving? And with these weekly driver reports and drive reports, so you can see the behavior on every drive, what it enables is parents to sit down at the dinner table and say, hey, we're looking at your driving behavior, it's either good and if it's bad, let's talk about that. What are the rules when you have the car and things like that. So not only do we offer in worst case scenarios like crash detection and roadside assistance, but also just tools to help families become safer drivers.
Wow, I could have used that when my oldest was 16. Called the insurance company, told him about that and that he was going to be driving, and he told me, man, you should have thought of that 16 years ago. But wow, okay. And you remember when I told you that we could stop and have our mind go blank?
Yes.
And then we could edit it out later? This is what's happening right now.
Okay, awesome. I like it. I'll take a little bit.
Awesome. So we've mentioned location safety and driving safety, and also you offer digital safety functionality. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, that's something a lot of parents are really concerned about. We've done 2 other episodes about internet and social media safety. It's a big problem right now. I think a lot of parents, especially our kids, speak the internet like native speakers, whereas adults, we speak the internet like somebody who took 2 years of college language classes and maybe visited that place once.
Right. So
how can you help? We need it.
So there's a couple of things that we offer on digital safety. Where we focus on right now is really about identity theft protection. So as you just mentioned, more and more people are using the internet, especially our kids. In the pandemic, the digital adoption has only accelerated. So 25% more people are using the internet than actually, if you can believe that, than before.
Wow.
And so, and our kids are too, right? So they understand Zoom more than we probably wanted them to, but that means they're online more. And so a lot of times when parents think about identity theft, they think about their identity theft protection. They think about me as an adult. I don't want my information stolen. But what we don't realize is that kids have their information online as well. They're entering their email and password out there. There's important critical information that they're putting on the internet. So Life360 offers services to help with identity theft protection. We offer data breach alerts. So if we see that a password has been compromised, we'll notify you so you can go to that site and change that password. Over 1 million kids are identity theft or are victims of identity theft every year. So that's the area of digital safety, and there are many areas of digital safety, but particularly around identity theft protection and kids is where we're focused on providing the most help.
Wow. And what are some of the ways you do that?
So one is that, like I mentioned, data breach alerts. So again, we're crawling the dark web all the time to see if your information's been compromised. When we detect that it has, we'll send you an email, we'll send you a notification to say, hey, we've detected that your information has been compromised. And we'll let people go in or we'll advise people to go in and change their password. But at times it gets much worse. And at times your entire identity is stolen, and you need support and help to restore that identity. So we offer services that will allow people to use a service on our end to help them restore their identity. And we actually offer up to $1 million in terms of restoration. So if funds are stolen, for example, that's something that we can help with, and that comes with one of our memberships. So we offer everything from automated, hey, we'll just let you know, we're working in the background. If something happens, we'll let you know, to something more serious where you do need someone hands-on. We have a hotline that you can call and someone will help you through it and give you all the advice you need to make sure that you're able to restore your identity.
Wow. All right. Now you mentioned you had different plans.
Yeah.
Are there few enough plans that you can give us a quick breakdown, or is it more complex than that?
I'll give you a quick breakdown. The first one is free, so you can you can download the app for free, and it'll give you the basic services around location safety, check-in, and notifications. Crash detection is also free, so we do offer free crash detection, and it will notify everyone in your family. And then we have silver, gold, and platinum plans, and the silver and gold and platinum plans really give you much more robust features, and they start including things like medical assistance, nursing assistance, travel assistance. So it's really, really comprehensive in terms of what you're able to do. One of the more popular features too is that we also offer stolen phone reimbursement with our plans. So if your phones are stolen, we will, depending on your plan, we will reimburse you up to $500 for that stolen phone for that stolen phone. We need a police report and things like that, but for really all your safety needs, one of our plans will cover you.
Sounds like you also slide into financial safety too, and some kind of insurance type products as a part of this larger package.
Yeah, so we don't offer insurance right now, but anyone can actually open up the app, and we are able to understand and see, whether or not there are good insurance offers out there for you. So,
so you can help shop for insurance?
Exactly, we can do that now. We do a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Do you the driver report, the safe driving reports, do you in fact partner with any insurance companies? Because some of them will take a look at granular driving things and reduce or raise your rates. Are you working with any of the insurance companies about that?
Not at that extent. So we won't turn over your information to an insurance company without you knowing. But what we're able to do is actually provide you a driving score. So while the insurance company doesn't have your detailed drives, we can pass a driving score over to them to help you get better rates.
All righty. Now this is an app, and it's cool. One of the things I like about the safety app is so much of what we hear about technology in terms of safety is the ways that safety is dangerous. 10 ways your phone is going to kill your kids. You won't believe number 7, right?
Yeah.
Number 11. That kind of stuff. And although we should be vigilant about technology, there's also amazing tools available to us. But what about kids are too young to have their own phone yet? Does Life 360 help with that at all?
If you don't have a phone, it's very hard for us to kind of help you and come to any aid in that instance. But we do recommend that safety language and safety conversations happen really early on within the family. I have a 1-year-old, and I'm already, the house has been baby proofed, and I've actually, turned to your podcast to better understand, the one that I didn't think about was curtains. And so that helped me a lot. But then also other tips that we give families is starting to help them understand things like location, knowing their address, knowing their home address, knowing their parents' names. You know, we often we're called mom, dad, but knowing their parents' names is incredibly important. And that's part of, you could do little jingles with your kids to better understand, what is your address, where do you live, things like that. What is your phone number?
One of my favorites, I actually dropped a video last week on this, is when they're young enough to have that first tablet that they play their alphabet game on or whatever, the password is your phone number.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great, they'll remember that.
Yeah. 24 hours.
Absolutely.
So you do, even though, you can't give your 1-year-old a phone to wander around with, you even provide some education modules and such for parents of young children so that they can start out as safe as possible.
Yeah, you could always check out our site, which we are beginning to really ramp up our content and blogs there to help really parents with kids of all ages to understand safety, good safety habits and behavior.
Excellent. Now, it sounds like Life 360 has a whole bunch of cool features. What feature do you wish it had?
Great question. I have actually a list of them. But, there's a couple ones that come off the top of my head, especially around the pandemic. With my parents, I don't live that close to my parents, about a 6-hour drive. I kind of want to know if they've left the house. And so while we notify you when someone leaves, kind of want to get a notification if someone hasn't left in the last 2 days or 3 days. And I'm like, hey, go take for a walk and, go around, start moving around. But I think that's one feature that would be also pretty cool, of being able to get out there.
Yeah. And finally, what's the really smart question I haven't asked you yet?
You've asked me a ton of really smart questions. But maybe I'll answer that with what has been keeping us up at night here at Life 360. What are the things that we're thinking about? And a lot has to do with what happens post-pandemic. Things are opening up again. Things are feeling back. Schools are opening up. And I think we're all really starting to think, what parts of the last year do we want to keep? And what parts of the things of last year do we want to change or don't want to keep? And so how does parenting behavior change moving forward? And in this question, we're also asking ourselves about how safety is more top of mind than ever before. And what are the types of parenting styles that people are going to move into? So we think that, there's a lot of conversation around different parenting styles, whether it's a helicopter mom, a bulldozer dad, or a tiger dad. There's all these stereotypes and buckets that we want to put people in and parents in. And as a parent, you're just trying to be like the best parent you can be, in the most authentic version of yourself and being a parent. And how does that start? What we're asking ourselves is, how can you be true to safety? How can you keep your child safe and not get stuck into a parenting style? How can you have those conversations in a really genuine way? And so these are the conversations we have around safety, allowing your kids the freedom, allowing your kids independence to be who they want to be who they are, while remaining very vigilant around safety, teaching them good safety skills, and yet not feeling like you're getting stuck into a specific parenting stereotype. And how can Life 360 help? Those are the questions we have. Like, how can we help just to make you feel assured that you're doing the best that you can and providing the best safety information to your kids as much as possible?
That's not exactly a low bar to try to hurdle.
No. But we're going to tackle it. We've tackled a lot in terms of safety. And, we talk to a lot of parents day in and day out. I mentioned, we get member stories all the time, but we also research and survey and have one-on-one conversations with parents across the country. And we're realizing that in those conversations, there's always this tension. There's tension of, I want to make sure my kids are safe. but I don't want to be on top of them all the time. I want them to learn from their mistakes. I want them to be independent. And so we know and we recognize that there's this tension out there, and we're constantly thinking, how can we play a role in that tension? How can we help parents maybe take a step back a little bit and use the app to give them that peace of mind?
That's one of the things that I really have appreciated about cell phones in general, not cell phones, but smartphones in general. For example, I mentioned my teenager, where just being able to text him just at random through the day, not even checking up to say, hey, buddy, thinking of you, send him a meme that I thought was funny, and communicating with him, having him know to send me codes via text if he's sketched out at an event. Like our code time at the time, he would just ask, hey, is Uncle Matt there yet? And then if I said yes, and then I'd come get him. That was his signal that, okay, it's time to go get him. And that way he has plausible deniability with his friends and all that. But that kind of functionality that lets you be present without being center stage, I think is a very valuable parenting tool, especially with tweens and teens and young adults.
Yeah, absolutely. And building that trust and building that trusted relationship between parents and kids to say, I'm here for you when you need help. And I love that idea. I'm going to write it down for future references of a code. And actually, maybe I'll take it back. Maybe we can have codes within Life 360. So kids could send that.
That would be cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ariana, so much for sharing Life 360 with us today and talking about safety things. As you say, I think parents are more and more worried about their kids as the world gets more complex. And it seems like kids are older when they're younger, as it were. And tools like this, I think, can really help us out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
And yeah, it was a pleasure being here. I really enjoyed talking with you and having a great conversation around safety.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching today. I hope you found something useful or maybe even inspiring. If you liked what you saw, please take a few minutes to subscribe, like, and comment. Those little things add up to big help for the channel. If you loved it, consider checking out our Facebook page for more family safety news and information. And think about supporting us on Patreon, where you'll get early access, monthly training resources, blooper footage, and other exclusive benefits. You'll find links to both in the show notes. Most of all, thank you for being part of the safest family on the block team. Stay safe, everybody. See you next time.